What's up, everybody? This is Dave Thompson from AroundTheAssociation.com, and this is the Around the Association podcast. This is the West Region edition of the podcast. And so this is the final series in a 4-part breakdown of the NCAA tournament. My thoughts and opinions on all the matchups in the NCAA tournament with one more podcast to go, which would be the final 4 podcasts. I'm not going to reveal who I had winning the other 3 regions, because if you pay attention to the podcast by this point in time, you kind of know where I'm going with this in the tournament. So in this bracket, you have 18 teams, kind of like the East region, sliding to get themselves a shot at the Final Four. You have the 2 teams, you have 2 set to play in games, and then like I said, you have the top seeded teams playing on Friday. So let's get into this region. It's one of the more interesting regions that we have in the draw. And with the West region, with the West Regional Finals out, I think it'll be out in Anaheim, I think, is set in stone. And with a West Coast theme, let's go with the team that is the top overall seed in this bracket, which will be the Gonzaga Bulldogs, a team that finished 30-3 during the past season. They were the West Coast Conference regular season champions, and they were literally one game away from being the tournament champions, but ran to St. Mary's and probably their worst game of the season, when St. Mary's just basically physically dominated them the entire game. Outside of that loss to St. Mary's, Gonzaga's only other 2 losses this year were against the tournament teams. I mean, they lost to Tennessee, who was the number 2 seed. They lost to top seeded North Carolina earlier on in the season. But this Gonzaga team also beat Duke in Maui at the end of the Maui Invitational, which is probably one of the best games of the entire regular season, not counting the conference tournament games. But Gonzaga has been a team that's just been efficient so well on offense, so efficient even by most of the analytics places you'll find Gonzaga has the most efficient offense in the country. 3-headed monster for Gonzaga. Rui Hachimura, the Japanese American sensation, is one of the best players in college basketball. He's definitely an NBA lottery pick. 20 points a game, 6.6 rebounds. Extremely efficient with the ball in his hands. It was interesting watching him and Zion Williamson. Now, Zion was a younger player back at that time. And like I say younger, it's because the fact that he hasn't really matured in the college game, and Hachimura took advantage of it. He doesn't, when we talk about the next level, I'm not sure what he does on the next level, but we're not at the next level with him yet. He's definitely going to be at the next level. The question is where. He's not the most superly athletic guy in the world, but he gets it done. He can move the floor very well, and he's very, very extremely smart. With him on one side of the front court, you have Brandon Clark on the other side. Clark has just turned himself into a lottery pick. 6'8", averages right around 16.5 points a game, solid rebound at 8.4 rebounds a game. But the one thing about Brandon Clark is that he is a shot blocking machine, averages 3.1 blocks a game, and is an interior presence. If you want to see interior presence, fast forward back to the Duke game and how Duke stopped going inside of him, because I think Clark had 5 or 6 blocks in that game, maybe 7 even. He just altered shots and blocked shots everywhere on the floor. And then you have Zach Neville Jr. at the guard position at 15 points a game. Gonzaga is a team that's extremely experienced. They've done this moment, and this might be Mark Few's best team that he's ever had. That includes a team that got to the Final Four a couple years ago. Gonzaga is dangerous, and they're loaded. They know how to play the game well. And like I said, they're very, very efficient. And say, if you want, don't think about the West Coast Conference game, because that was an anomaly. I think they scored 47, 48 points in that game. It was an anomaly based on their season, because they literally destroyed the West Coast Conference the entire year. They beat teams, they beat teams convincingly all season. And just remember, the bracket plays them very nicely. Their first round matchup, we don't know yet, because there's a playing game. I think that's set for Tuesday night, which will be Fairleigh Dickinson versus Prairie View. Listen, neither team whoever wins this game really doesn't have a shot to beat Gonzaga anyway. Like I mentioned before, number 1 seeds do not lose in this tournament. Virginia was the anomaly last year. We discussed that in a previous podcast. It is not happening again this year. So anybody's picking a 16-1, your bracket's busted at this point, especially if you can get past out of the first round. Fairleigh Dickinson is 2013. They're the NEC tournament champions. Darnell Edge is leads a team that has 5 or more guys averaging over 10 points a game. Edge is over 16.4 points a game. They're one of the nation's best 3-point shooting teams. As a team, they shoot over 41% from the 3-point line. So expect on Tuesday night, I think it's Wednesday for them, to be flying up threes against Prairie View. Now, Prairie View is 22-12. They won the SWAC regular season and conference tournament championships. Corey Blackson's averaging over 15 points and 7 rebounds a game. One thing about Prairie View is that, listen, hey, they're a bunch of ball hawks. They average almost 8.8 steals a game as a team. They do take the ball away from you. They play very, very solid defense, and they're extremely smart when it comes to taking the ball away from you. It's going to be a very, you hear me say this a lot in the tournament. It's a good mix of style, it's a styles clash, because you got Fairleigh Dickinson, who's very good at shooting the 3-point ball against a team that is very good at taking the ball from you. These matchups are fun because, like I said, somebody's method is going to play, and some teams not going to play very well. The winner of this game, like I said, whoever wins this game is really going to get handed by Gonzaga, because Gonzaga is basically put together like a machine. I love Gonzaga in this tournament. 8-9 matchup, Syracuse and Baylor. One of these games where Baylor should have been better than what they've been all season. Injuries have kind of hit this team throughout the season. King McClure missed 5 games with a knee injury. Malachi Mason is injured. Had toe injury that kind of slowed him down during the Big 12 tournament. And remember, this team also lost Tristan Clark, their best interior player for the entire season. But one thing about Baylor is that if you get into a game, a 3-point shooting game, they're not very good at it. As a team, they shoot 34% from the 3-point line. Not a good thing going against a team like Syracuse, who is known for the zone. Jim Boeheim's team is a zone-filled team. We've seen this, I don't know how long. This is even going back to before I started watching college basketball when I was a child. They run that 2-3 zone, and they run it extremely well. Syracuse is 20-13. They finished 6th in the Big East. In the ACC this year, I keep saying Big East because I'm so used to them being the Big East. That's growing up. That's just what it was. 6th in the ACC this year. Syracuse has beaten Duke. They've beaten Ohio State. They've beaten Louisville. They know how to beat big teams. And remember, they went into Cameron and beat the Blue Devils in Cameron with Zion. Only 2 teams have done it all year, North Carolina being the other one. It's really good when you see Syracuse's zone. The 2-3 zone is a shutdown matchup zone. The one problem with Syracuse is Tyrus Ballard going to be ready to go? He missed the entire ACC tournament due to an injury, and you can tell Syracuse really missed him in the lineup. O'Shea Brissett is a very, very solid interior player. Watch Buddy Boeheim. He went off in the ACC tournament. Yes, that's Coach Boeheim's son, but he can shoot the basketball as well, too. The one thing about Syracuse, like I said, going against Baylor is that Baylor can't shoot the 3, and Syracuse can defend the 3. Syracuse only allowed 33.4% from the 3-point line in ACC play this year. So when you have a team that knows how to guard the 3-pointer against a team that can't shoot the 3-pointer, nothing looks good in the situation for the Baylor Bears. Bottom part of the first part of the bracket, you're looking at the Florida State Seminoles being the 4 seed, taking on Vermont. Florida State got to the ACC championship game because they're probably one of the longest teams and one of the best defending teams in college basketball. When I say they're long, they're just long guys with humongously long wingspans. And Leonard Hamilton knows how to coach. Somehow Leonard Hamilton is one of these coaches. He didn't do well in the NBA, but is an extremely good college coach. He gets his kids prepared. These guys know what they're doing. Like I said, this team lost the AC championship game because they won. But look at their resume of teams they've beaten this year. They beat Virginia Tech twice. They beat Florida. They beat LSU. They beat Purdue. They beat Louisville. They have beaten some very, very good teams this year. And it's very difficult to beat Virginia Tech twice in one season. They're not a team that has a big time score, but they're balanced. They have 8 guys that average over 6 points a game. They're the top defensive team in the ACC. They allow 41% shooting in ACC play against the opposition only shoots 41%. So Florida State plays a lot of defense. Going against the Vermont team that's 27-6, they won the American East regular season and the conference tournament championships. Anthony Lamb is a guy you want to watch in this game. It's going to be great to see how Florida State tries to take him out of the game, because Lamb is one of the best mid-major or small school players in the country. 21 points, 7 points, almost 8 rebounds a game. He just finds a way to get to the basket. He knows how to score the basketball. He's one of these guys that's very versatile, can score inside and outside. Now, also at the same time, Vermont's also a very good defensive team. Now, it's kind of a difference to say a good defensive team in the America East compared to the ACC. A lot of people, because ACC is one of the best conferences in the country, or the best this season. And the America East, people don't really watch the America East unless you're really truly a America East fan, an alumni, or someone who religiously follows college basketball. Vermont has held 9 teams under 60 points this year. That's a very impressive stat. Against the Florida State team, that's not exactly the best scoring team in the country. Once again, styles clash. It's one of those things where Vermont's defense is going to have to make this a 10th team that score under 60 points in the tournament. If Lamb can get off and Vermont's defense can actually play really well, Vermont's got a shot at this. 5-12 matchup. When I say matchups are going to be fun, this is the game. If you're looking for fun, this is the game that's going to be the most fun of the first round, especially when it comes to individuals. Marquette and Murray State, literally, this should be must-watch television in the first round. Why? Not the fact that Marquette's 24-9 or Murray State's 27-4, I think it was 27-4, 27-9. It's not even the fact of those two numbers. Not even the fact that both teams have made the tournament. Not to mention the fact that Murray State won the OVC, and Marquette just barely lost to Seton Hall in the semifinals of the Big East tournament. Nope. This is all about star matchups. You have John Morant of Murray State, who is literally the one guy that's going to separate Duke from having the top 3 picks in the draft. Morant, the 6'2", 6'3" guard, is arguably the best guard in the country. Just has a lot of Russell Westbrook to his game. It's just so fluid. You're going to get the small school comparison to Damian Lillard because he plays at a small school. John Morant is worth the price of admission by himself. Even with the OVC championship game, he had 37 points, 36.7 rebounds. The assist numbers are only around 3 or 4. This guy averages 10 assists a game. His stat line for the season, 24.6 points, 10 rebounds, 5.3 assists a game. He gets it done, but he's so efficient with the ball in his hands. And he definitely can take you off the dribble real quick. He's had plenty of SportsCenter top 10 moments this year, but his ability off the ball and ability with the ball in his hands, he's just dangerous either way. Shaq Buchanan is his sidekick at 13 points and 4.2 I think rebounds a game. Here's the thing. Since the start of the year, Murray State 17-2. Jackson State was not only, and the only other loss outside of that stretch in the brand new year had been Belmont. They're hot. And in the NCAA tournament, we have learned you can learn to win with one player in the tournament. One player can carry you. And when a player is good like this, it's going to be fun. On the other side, Marquette is in the Big East. Lost to Seton Hall in the Big East tournament. But the one thing about Marquette is that, guess what? They have their own scoring machine, and Big East Player of the Year, Marcus Howard. And Marcus Howard's stat line is 25 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists a game. He's a guy that gets buckets. I know he had 50-point game early season. I think he had multiple 50-point games. He just scores the basketball. And when he scores the basketball, it frees up everybody else because they have 4 guys in this roster that shoot 40% from the 3-point line. This is a game where if Marcus Howard can get going early, those shooters are going to have a chance to shoot. And then John Morant on the other end is just so extremely talented. These 2 guys by himself might even score 60 points combined. This game will be entertaining to not be saying the least. If you have the opportunity to go, if you're in that area of that bracket, that's the game you need to go to. Or if you're at home or at work or wherever you are during this game, this is the game you need to watch or keep an eye on all day long. Because this game is going to be so much fun to watch. The key in this game is Marquette's got to cut the turnovers down. Last 4 games, they've had 60 turnovers in the last 4 games. You cannot turn the ball over that much and expect to win, especially in the NCAA tournament. You don't want to let John Morant even have that many possessions. Marquette has to keep control of the basketball and knock down a 3-pointer. Bottom part of the bracket, the number 2 seed in the bracket is the Michigan Wolverines, 28-6. Lost to Michigan State in the Big Ten championship tournament game. Michigan is one of these teams that is very good defensively. On top of that, they just play with this team kind of reminds me of the Michigan team that got to the Final Four a couple years ago. They had Mo Wagner and a bunch of people around them shooting the basketball. They know how to shoot the basketball. They play the game the right way. And of course, any John Beilein team can play defense. Top 5 nationally in defense. Michigan is a team that is very versatile and they can shoot the basketball very well. They just have their moments where Michigan fans can see a little frustrated, but the one thing about Michigan is that they play as a team. And that's one thing with John Beilein's team. They all play as one unit. They're a team that if they can get on fire and rolling, they could be a team that could potentially get to the Final Four with some exceptions. They'll be playing Montana, who are the Big Sky Conference tournament champions, 26-8. Ahmed Rose, one of the better scorer, 15.1 points a game. They have 3 other guys they have 3 guys in the team that average 13 points a game. Shaquan Brissett and Michael Osborne are 3 guys that could score the basketball for Montana. They play a stylistic game where they use the balance of the 3 guards to make, teams miserable on the end. And Montana, I haven't watched too much of Montana this year, to be honest with you. So, I know that just by looking at them, I've watched them a bit in the Big Sky tournament, but Montana has a lot of good ball movement. They rotate the ball very well. And against a team like Michigan, they're going to have to because Michigan plays such good defense. If Montana's shooters can get going early, then they can make this a game against Michigan. 7-12 matchup. Nevada takes on Florida. Nevada finished year 29-4. They got to the Mountain West, they won the Mountain West regular season, but fell short in the conference tournament. Listen, this was a top 10 team when the season started. They had a humongous run in the NCAA tournament last year. They returned basically all their major parts. The Nevada is the most dangerous team in this tournament. I will say this right now, and you can put this on record. Nevada is the most dangerous team in this tournament, and I'll tell you why. Jordan Caroline is one of the best players in the country that you've not seen. They have the Martin twins, who average over 30 points a game combined, and Caleb averaged almost 20 a game by himself. Jordan Caroline, 17 points, 9.6 rebounds. The reason why Nevada didn't win their conference tournament is because Jordan Caroline missed the semifinals with an Achilles injury. Now they were saying that he's been kind of dealing with this. The staff is saying that he's been dealing with this all year. That is the only drawback in why Nevada is a 7 in this tournament. If Jordan Caroline is healthy and had enough rest in that Achilles, Nevada is dangerous. They're a top 10 team preseason for a reason. One of the most efficient teams on the offensive side of the ball. If, like I said, Jordan Caroline is healthy, this is completely a different team. Taking on Florida, a team that with 19-15, and they got in the tournament because they beat LSU pretty soundly in the SEC tournament to get themselves that at-large bid they needed. Florida is a team that forces turnovers. Kevon Allen leads the team at 12 points a game. There's not really that many big scores, but they're a very, very balanced team. Lots of guys who score, lots of guys that, that can, do different things. They're a very, very balanced team. They force a lot of turnovers. If they can get Nevada frustrated, the same way they got LSU frustrated in the SEC tournament, it's going to be a problem. Like I said, if you want to look how good Florida's been, they've basically gotten better as the season gotten long. Like I said, they earned their way in the tournament by literally beating LSU to the punch and then beating them to a pulp and made LSU look real, real shaky. And that's why I said they look really shaky in the first podcast I mentioned earlier in the East podcast. Texas Tech is a 3 going against Northern Kentucky. Northern Kentucky last time was in the tournament made this actually interesting. They took regular Kentucky and basically had them to a 9-point game. And I think Kentucky was a 2 that year in the tournament. They have a solid team over there. But the one thing about, Northern Kentucky is that they're one of the better 3-point shooting teams in their own conference, the Horizon. They are the best 3-point shooting team in the Horizon this year. And that's pretty solid because when you have a team that can shoot the basketball in any type of tournament situation, they become a dangerous team, especially when you have to, because in this NCAA tournament, it's a 1-game situation. So when you have 1-game situations, anything can happen in a 1-game situation. So if you're hitting shots for the smaller schools, you stay in it. But, as far as Northern Kentucky, as far as the guy you need to watch, Jalen Tate's averaged 14 points a game in the last couple of games. Like I said, North Texas is a 37% 3-point shooter. Their best player this year, and the one player that Texas Tech has to watch is the forward Drew McDonald. He's averaging around, like I said, 19 points and 13 rebounds a game during the regular season. Is a double-double machine, and he was also the conference tournament MVP. I'm sorry, 19 points and 9.5 rebounds a game. Excuse me, 9.5 rebounds a game, not 13. 19 points and 9.5 rebounds a game. So you'll see Texas Tech try to pack the paint against him to keep him from going. Now, Texas Tech was 26-6. They finished tied for the Big 12 regular season championship. They somehow inexplicably lost in the conference tournament to West Virginia team that almost got themselves into the NCAA tournament just because they said tournament. It's March. Team gets hot this time of year. But Texas Tech is known as the team. We say this is the best. Now, by the analytics folks, the analytics folks think that Texas Tech might be the best defensive team in the country. They're led by Jarrett Culver. Jarrett Culver, who's definitely himself a lottery pick, a guy that just about basketball court, 19 points, 6.3 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal in the game. He just does it all. I mean, there's not one thing Jarrett Culver can't do. And this team won 9 games in a row before the inexplicable loss to West Virginia. Texas Tech knows how to play the game. They're very balanced. Like I said, Culver's a guy that can just do it all. And like I mentioned before, guys who can do it all can really do damage in this tournament. Final matchup we need to go over in this region, the 6-11 matchup. Now, the 11 seeds have to play a game on Wednesday. Arizona State and St. John's. Really, this is a good old-fashioned Northeast rivalry. Northeast rivalry, yeah. The head coach is Bob Hurley and Chris Mullen, two guys that are familiar with being up north. Bob Hurley, play at Duke. And then you have, like I said, but he's New Jersey ties everywhere to, being one of the best high school players in the history of, I think St. Patrick's up in New Jersey, going against Chris Mullen, former NBA great, Hall of Famer, Dream Team member. He, of course, St. John's legend. He's got this team in the tournament. Now, when you look at this team, Arizona State, their problem is that Arizona State does allow teams to hit the 3-point shot. They were just playing abysmal when it comes to defending the 3-point ball all season. They did go 22-10 this year, but they were abysmal guarding the 3-point line. Now, they have a very, very solid guard, Lucas Dort. Luguette Dort, I mean, seriously, he's a freshman, but he's an exciting player to watch. 16 points, 4 rebounds a game. And the one thing, like I said, I mentioned about Arizona State is they're not very good defending the 3-point ball. That doesn't boast well going against a team like St. John's, because when St. John's is on the floor, they have Shamari Pons, one of the best scorers in the Big East, around 20 points a game. St. John's is one of the teams that will frustrate you. St. John's started 12-0. Since then, they've been 9-12. They've just been a complete roller coaster of emotions for Johnny's fans all year. One of the teams that lastly got in the tournament. They did okay in the Big East this year. So it's going to be a different game because, like I said, if St. John's hitting the shots early and Shamari Pons can get going early offensively, because in St. John's games they lose, he doesn't score very well. If Arizona State can somehow play some defense, they can get past this game. The winner of this game is going to get their hands on Buffalo. Buffalo is a fun team to watch. 31-3, the MAC East regular season champions and also the MAC tournament champions. If you don't know Buffalo, go ask DeAndre Ayton and Alondre Trier who Buffalo is. Buffalo basically last year, the tournament ended DeAndre Ayton's college career before it had a chance to even take off even higher. Buffalo is a team that went 31-3. They're just a forensic pace scoring team, averaging 84.9 points a game. They don't shoot a ton of threes very well. They only hit 34% of their threes as a team, but they're very good offensively. They make a lot of plays. CJ Massenberg is the guy that leads this team at 18 points, 0.3 points a game and 6.6 rebounds. He does a lot. Nate Oates, once again, he gets out of this first round, won't be in Buffalo very long, fans. I do apologize about that. But Buffalo's guy that has turned their program around will be at a major program. So a head coach that's getting fired in a major conference, Nate Oates is going to be on the top of everybody's list. Why? Buffalo's a very good basketball team, very well coached. 5 guys average 8 or more points a game. And in college basketball, it's a very key stat because guys know how to score the basketball. When you're scoring 84.9 points a game, there's a reason behind that. All right. So let's go to my picks in the bracket. So Fairleigh Dickinson, Prairie View A&M. I love Fairleigh Dickinson in this game because they shoot the basketball very well. Like I said, you're not a top 10 3-point shooting team if you don't hit shots. One thing about the NCAA tournament is that you have a team that hits a lot of shots, or you don't have a team that hits a lot of shots. If a team shoots a lot of shots and makes them, hey, you're going to win. If you're going to miss them, it's going to lose. It's pretty simple. I think in this game, Fairleigh Dickinson will hit enough shots to keep Prairie View's ball hawking ability at bay a bit. I like Fairleigh Dickinson in that one. And they're present in their victory, their wonderful way of winning in the first round. They get, in the first 4, they get their hands on Gonzaga. Bye Fairleigh Dickinson. Gonzaga blows away Fairleigh Dickinson pretty easily. Syracuse and Baylor, once again, Baylor struggles to shoot from the 3-point line against a team that knows how to defend the 3. You know where this is going. Give me Syracuse in this game. I love, especially if Tyrus Battle is playing, it's a different story. Syracuse wins that one. Marquette, Murray State, like I've said before, the most entertaining game in the first round. A game that's going to feature a lot of scoring in this game. I love it. The difference is I love John Morant better than Marcus Howard. I think Marcus Howard scores over 30 in this game, but John Morant there's a reason why this guy's top 3 pick. He gets him out of the first round, like Murray State in that game. Florida State, Vermont, 2 teams that play really, really good defense. Florida State's just an elite defensive team. There's a team that's very good at defense and a team that's elite at defense. Florida State's elite. Give me Florida State over Vermont. And not exactly the prettiest game of the tournament, but this is a Leonard Hamilton type of game. Florida State uses athleticism and length. They beat Vermont, but Anthony Lamb is going to be a guy who's trying to watch this game. I'm telling you right now. 2-15 matchup. Give me Montana. Montana loses to Michigan. I know that Michigan, it just seemed like Michigan don't have enough size to go deep in this tournament. Montana is a team that does have balance in the backcourt, but John Beile's team knows how to win. They play very, very good defense. Give me Michigan in that one. Nevada, Florida. Listen, I said it from the very beginning of this, a few minutes ago. Nevada's dangerous. They'll take out Florida. I like Jordan Carolina, especially if they're healthy. Nevada takes care of that one. Texas Tech over Northern Kentucky. Even though Northern Kentucky can shoot the basketball very well, Texas Tech's a better team. I think they've learned a lot from that loss to West Virginia in the tournament. Like I said, they're not one of the analytics. There's a reason why the analytics teams love them defensively. They know how to get at it. I like Texas Tech in this one. Arizona State and St. John's in the first round playing game as 2-11 seeds. Like I said, Arizona State should be a lot better than what they are, 22-10. They've just been up and down this year, and this is one of those, they're playing a team that is also up and down. St. John's is the roller coaster team of the tournament. I think St. John's has a down moment. I like Arizona State to get to this round. They'll get their hands on Buffalo. Buffalo is going to run up and down over Arizona State. Give me Buffalo to get to the round of 32 over Arizona State. Second part of the bracket. Let's go back up. I'll finish this up completely. Gonzaga takes care of Syracuse. The Syracuse zone is really good, but Gonzaga is a better team against the zone. They're gonna have issues and struggles trying to guard Rui Hachimura, and Zach Navarro Jr. is going to hit enough shots. Brandon Clark's going to protect the paint. I like them over Syracuse in this game because in a game where it has to be defense versus guys who are just offensively efficient, I like the team that's very offensively efficient in this one. In the other part of the bracket, you have Florida State taking on Murray State. Listen, NBA scouts want to watch this game because Florida State has NBA length and NBA athleticism against a guy that is a multi-dimensional superstar player. Give me Florida State in this game. I think Florida State's defense has learned because remember the ACC, you play against big time guys all the time. Florida State does really well. They did really well against RJ Barrett for the most part. They play against guys who can score the basketball on a consistent basis. And John Morant's one of those guys that does everything. Give me Florida State get to the Sweet 16. Speaking of the Sweet 16 in one moment. Bottom part of the bracket, Michigan takes, you have Texas Tech taking on Buffalo. Listen, I love Nate Oates as a coach. I love the way Buffalo plays the offensive game. They're so balanced. They score so many points. Texas Tech is a team that defends very well. Like I said, a styles clash, the best. It's going to be an outstanding game. I just like Buffalo a little bit more. Buffalo gets to the Sweet 16. I think that Texas Tech is really good, but when you're scoring 85 points a game, I think that Buffalo, especially when you have five guys that can score, even if CJ Massenberg doesn't score enough points by himself, they have other guys that can lift Buffalo up. I like Buffalo to get to the Sweet 16. In a close game over Texas Tech. I mean, a very extremely close game because I was going back and forth about this one. Nevada, Michigan. Nevada's in the Sweet 16. I said Michigan, some of Michigan, I just don't like this tournament. And the matchup this is not what Michigan wanted. The same way North Carolina did not want Kansas in the Sweet 16, Michigan does not want to see Nevada in this game. Nevada has NBA guys on this roster. Nevada was a top 10 team to start the season. They just didn't play the strongest conference, and they didn't win the games out of conference they should have won. I like Nevada in this game. If Jordan Carolina is healthy, and I think he's going to be healthy, they get to the Sweet 16 at this point. So, Sweet 16 matchups, you got Gonzaga, Florida State. Once again, Gonzaga playing a team with length and athleticism. They're not going to make the same mistakes twice. I like Gonzaga to get to Elite Eight. Then you have Nevada taking on Buffalo. Two schools that you're thinking, okay, this is going to be an interesting matchup, and it will be. Nevada is so good. Like I said, they have so many different things about them that make them good. The Martin twins are extremely talented. Like I said, they play very good, solid perimeter offense. One of the more efficient teams in the country offensively against a Nate Oates team that, like I said, they can run. Give me Nevada in this one to get to Elite Eight to take on Gonzaga. This is the matchup that every small school fan wants to see. Gonzaga, Nevada, two of the best small school teams in the country, and two teams that I think are really top 10 teams. Nevada, somehow, because of the fact of if Jordan Caroline is healthy, like I said, I keep saying if he's healthy, they get to this game, Jordan Caroline kind of gets neutralized because Brandon Clark is one of the best interior defenders in the country. They know how to pack the paint. You saw them against Zion Williamson. They packed the paint very, very well. They did a good job against Grant Williams early in the year. They know how to defend in the interior. Hachimura is a guy that Nevada has not seen all year. I know Caleb Martin's very good on the wing, but Hachimura is a different player. Give me Gonzaga to the Final Four. So once again, I'm taking Gonzaga to the Final Four over Nevada in the Elite Eight. Guys you want to watch in this bracket, literally, like I said, Marcus Howard and Ja Morant in that 5-12 matchup it highlights the entire region. Both these guys should be playing at the next level. Morant's a little top 5 pick of the draft. So if you're an NBA fan, your team's not in the draft, Phoenix, you get a really good look at probably your point guard of the future. Morant is just that good. He is must-watch television throughout the entire tournament. And I mean, really must-watch tournament television. CJ Massenberg of Buffalo is another guy that is really another guy you want to watch. He does things a little bit differently. 18 points a game. He's a very, very efficient scorer. He plays for Nate Oates' team at Buffalo. If Buffalo makes a deep run this tournament, which I think they will get to the Sweet 16, he's going to be one of the reasons why they do it. Other guys you want to watch, like I said, Anthony Lamb of Vermont going against Florida State. Listen, if Lamb has an outstanding game and Vermont's defense is on, they got a shot beating Florida State. I love Anthony Lamb. I think he is a very, very underrated talent across the board in the country. Drew McDonald at Northern Kentucky should give Texas Tech a lot of fits because he's a big that knows how to move it. He's a big that knows how to move. He's very physical and he has a very good passing touch. Very, very good passing touch. So those are the guys I like in this tournament, in this bracket that you need to watch out for. Like I said, Gonzaga is going to be headed to the Final Four. So now back to we're at business at hand here. Check out AroundTheAssociation.com. Check out the Around the Association Facebook page. Why? Because we're running an NCAA tournament. And the real question is, can you outpick me in the tournament? That's the question. If you can outpick me, outpick everybody else, you win a gift card that you can pretty much use at Walmart, which is going to be, you can find anything and everything at Walmart. No matter your situation, you'll find something at Walmart. Follow me on Twitter at Danny, DANNY. 3 Thompson on Twitter. Tell me if I'm wrong or not. And if you think I'm wrong and think you outpick me, like I said, join the contest. The rules will be up sometime on Tuesday on how to enter the tournament. Yes, I know there are games going on Tuesday and Wednesday, but the brackets are set up that no matter who wins, they'll be set, and you have until Thursday to get it done right before the tip-off. So this is, like I said, this is the West Region podcast. We got one more podcast to go, which will be the Final Four podcast, and we'll go over the Final Four on that final podcast. So this has been a wonderful, like I said, a fun show. Catch me later. Catch up the final podcast. Follow AroundTheAssociation.com for more on the NBA and college basketball. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.